Hey guys, long time no see. I put together this little tool for myself 2 days ago. That it took one day to get it working, and then I kind of worked on it for another day to make it a little bit nicer so that I could show it. And it's basically only useful for me, but I'm still going to put it up on GitHub, and you can take a look at it and pull it apart or whatever you want. Just to show you what it's doing, you can see you have some German there on the left and some English on the right, and these words are matching each other. So Ziel, goal. Im Leben, you have in life, and it keeps on scrolling up. And so what it's doing, I'm just going to get to bis dahin musste man. So there's one part here where one had to. We have two words here that matches three words in English, and so what this is about is a little tool for me to take one of my language learning books and kind of turn it into a better format. And I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. Let's see if I can get rid of this. Let's just make this smaller. There we go. Let's put it over there. Put it down. No, not there. Put this one down. Let's put it over there. Okay, so just to show you what this is about is back in 2002, when I was living in Korea for the first time, I read a book. I was looking for all the Korean books I could find, and this is the Korean version of Demian by Hermann Hesse, and it's originally a German book, but back then I didn't know any German. I was looking for the most interesting content I could find, and something easy to read. So I was looking through the children's books, or more like rewritings of books for children to understand, and this is one of them. So I read that and I loved the book, and then later on, a few years later, I wanted to read it in German, and but I didn't know enough German, and so it took me a while to reach the point where I could do that, and it was a lot of work. So anyway, eventually I reached the point where I could do that, understand the book, and that was really nice. And my German got better. It's not fluent, but it's good enough for most things. And so after that, in 2012, I decided to make an interlinear translation to help other people who might be interested in the book and don't want to read it in a translation, especially in English, because German and English can be really similar sometimes. And for that, the best kind of book, if you can get it, is an interlinear translation. And you can see here's what it looks like. So you have helle, that's light. Rückkehr, return, schöne, in weniger schöne, to the less beautiful, and then you can see the English below, and then you don't have to pick up a dictionary, and it's even better than a parallel translation, because a parallel translation is you have the source over here on the left usually, and the translation on the right, and you have to keep on moving your eye back and forth, and sometimes you'll end up just reading the English, but you don't want to do that. You want to concentrate on the language you're learning as much as possible. So I made it in bigger font and so on. And so this looks like it's already done. So why did I make this tool? And the reason why is because back then I couldn't really program. I used to do things in BASIC when I was younger, but then after that I didn't learn anything modern, and so I didn't have any way to do this except by just hitting the spacebar. So for about 2 months I worked on this inside Word. I think it was LibreOffice that I was using at the time, and then I would just use I think it was Control-Shift-P or something to change the font to something slightly smaller, and then hit the space bar until it matched up, and then eventually it turned into an actual book. But it was a ton of work, and I only had about 2 hours of free time every day, so I didn't want to spend it learning something like Python, because all I wanted to do was finish this book right away. So I just said I'm gonna spacebar this whole thing and just make it work, and so it did work. But then later on, a friend of mine, he saw this and thought this was a fantastic idea, and so he started publishing these same types of books, and he knows a few languages, and put them together, and he has a script that takes it and turns into a web page, as long as you can give it to him in Excel with one word on the left and one word on the right. So it should look like, if you say like, let's move this up. This is the code that built this tool. So let's say you have like a Ishvar. So Ishvar, I was like that. And then, so if you just make a, separate it by anything, then he would take that and then put it into his script, and then turn it into a PDF for, I forget what else. It's for, it's a whole bunch of formats. So, anyway, I decided it would be fun to turn this into that format as well, because right now it's in paper format, PDF and paper, but there's no way to change the spacing for different screen sizes and so on. And so I kind of wanted to do that, but you can see that it's kind of impossible to automate, because sometimes it matches up. One word matches up to one word. Sometimes it'll be, see, here's one word, and there are two words in English. Sometimes the word order is a little bit different, and then you have no choice, like this, trieb mich, I wandered about, and so trieb, mich, that's like to wander myself about, and if you translate this literally, then it won't make sense. And for this translation, I wanted there to be at least a minimum of readability. So you should be able to at least know what's going on with it. And so it's not just a literal translation of every word. And so so it's impossible to completely automate the process. And then sometimes you have a word here that German will like split verbs even more than English. Like, English, you'll say, I clean it up, and then you have clean over here, and you have up at the end. And German is like that times 10. Sometimes they'll have they'll start the verb over here, and then there'll be like 50 words, and then there's the end of the verb. And so for stuff like that, it's better to just ignore it, basically, because it's not. You want to write the meaning of the verb right here. So amte nach, like to imitate the young factory workers. So you have this is joined to here, but in a translation, you don't want to ruin the flow. So you can just leave that empty. So anyway, it's impossible to automate. And so the way to do it is to actually type the whole thing. So gang, bar, walk, und, type another bar, and so on. That's one way to do it, but I kind of got interested in making a tool to maybe automate it a little bit. And so that's why I came up with this, and that's also why it's only useful to me, probably, unless there's somebody out there that has a interlinear translation that they have published and would like to work on again. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to open that up in a new window in a second. So anyway, that is the concept behind this, and I'll show it to you again, and I think it's back. There we go. So let's do cargo run release again, and I think I'm going to make this a bit smaller. I don't know why it's so big. How's that looking? All right, I'm not even in the directory. Where am I? Just going to get the address. There it is. There we are. Cargo, run, release. So we're back to, so this is where I got to, I was experimenting with it and got a few pages done. So we have this this part of the book where he says, he's explaining, Emil Sinclair, the main character, is explaining his life as a child. So mind seal. So I'll find that part in the book. So mind seal. There we go. So he's talking about how he was originally a good child, but he was always tempted by this other world, the things that were slightly dangerous, more interesting than just living out a good life as as the child of your parents. And so so you can see the way it works is the stars here left when I move it to German, then the stars here turn red to show that I'm here. Then I hit up to bring it up, and then move to English and move it up. And now we have mine, my, and then when I hit enter, then it puts it into a string, and then seal im Leben. So you can see it's speeding up the process. It'll still take a long time, but it's a lot faster than just typing everything out. So mein Vater und meine Mutter, zu werden, to become, so hell and rein. This is pretty, this matches up well. Überlegen und geordnet, aber bis dann. And then bis dahin musste man. So here's the part I showed you before. So one had to. So here you would hit up, so to bring man after musste, and then one had to. And if you press down, then it'll put it back down in the column there. And so that is how it works. So anyway, let's get to the code. I just brought it into the playground, but I can switch to VS Code. Actually, let's try switching right now. See if it's going to behave. Let's see, window capture 1, I think. Let's change it to code. There we go. Okay, so here is, there we go. So here's the code. And I don't know if this is the best code, the best way to do it. You can look at it as we go through it, and maybe suggest any changes, but it's good enough for me. So anyway, here's the way it works. So I did everything inside a single struct, and just called it content. And so what we have here is so I'm using vecdex because a vecdex is like a where did my face go? A vecdex is like a there we go. Is like a vec, but it's optimized for popping off the back and the front. Well, it's optimized for popping off the front, but you can also use it like a regular vec popping off the back. And there's some parts where I needed to do that. And a vec can also do that. You can use the return or the what's it called? The not the take function. Let's switch to let's see, where did my browser window go? Yeah, I'm just going to stay in the browser for now. Okay, so let's stay here for a bit. So in Invex, you can also what is it? Take remove. That's the function I was thinking, or the method I was thinking of. So vec remove. There you go. So you can do a. This will also pop things off the front if you say remove 0. So this is removes and returns the element, and then it shifts all elements after it to the left. So you can still do the same things with a vec, but I like the idea of vecdex because they're good for kind of like imagining the idea. Let's get rid of this. I'm going to move that up. There we go. So anyway, that's the reason for the vecdex here. So back to this this content struct. So there's so English is all of the lines in English, and German is all of the lines in German. And what I do in the beginning, if we go to the main function here. So what it's pretty simple here, because I have the text in a format where I know it's German English, and there's no spaces there whatsoever. So and I also used this crate Waterlang to check it over, and then I got rid of that code because I just used it once just to make sure. And this is a crate that will most of the time detect the language of something you give it, and you can see it uses this this lang enum, and then it'll match on that, and then it'll give you a result. It'll tell you what kind of language it thinks it is. So you can see there's a whole bunch of languages here, and it matches against this big database it has. And so it was pretty good. About 19 times out of 20 it was right. Sometimes it got it wrong, but it helped me look over and make sure that there were, the German was actually German, and the English was actually English. And so after that I got rid of it, but just wanted to give it a quick shout out because it was useful to make sure. So what I do is, or what I did is, so let's start with the main function. So there's a macro called include stir, and this is, I think we went over this once before. It's just a really convenient macro that takes a file and then turns it into a big stir for you. So if you look at it over here, include stir. And all you have to do is just put the name of the file in, and that's it. It turns into a stir. And for me, I only have this one file, so there's nothing to check, and it's going to panic if it doesn't work. So that's perfect for me. And then later on, there's a open options new. There's a file which is an output file. And this is the one that gets appended to every time I do some work. So that is why this append true is here. And open options, you remember it's the builder pattern. So it makes this, it opens a file with some options, because if you open, if you create a file in Rust and give it a name, it's going to overwrite something if it has the same name. So you have this append true, which means open it up and add to the end, and then here's the name of the file. So this is the output file, and then there's you can see the question mark there, and that is where it matches against the result. And you can see in main we're returning a cross term result, and cross term is something I use a lot of the time, and this means it's like a terminal, cross terminal, and it's called cross term because it works in not just Unix but also Windows, and I use Windows, so I've found cross term to be really useful. And the reason why I use it here is for matching against keyboard input, which is events. There's like key events, and we're going to see that in a second. So So anyway, first when it starts in main, so it makes this this big string called Demian, and each one is in a line. So German line, English line, German line, English line, and I'll just show you what it looks like. I'll just copy this over. So if you were to look at that file, it looks like this. So you can see here's the English there, or the German there, which is just one space between, and then here's the result of my hitting the space bar. So there you go, wanted, nothing, ja nichts, but aus das zu leben versuchen, to try living that. Here's an example of something that you don't want to translate word by word, or one word at a time, which, was. And so this turns into a big string, and but you know, each one is on a different line, so that's the convenient part. So when we go to the main function here, main, there we go. So this part's easy. Just put a boolean together, call it German. You know, is it German or not? For line in Demian.lines, and we'll match. And if it's true, then we will push the line into German, and then say now German is false. And then if it's false, then we push the line into English, content.english. We're calling this thing content. And then turn German is true. So it'll just go back and forth and back and forth. And you can see here, content.German. So this is all of the inside the struct. German has it's a vecdec of vecdecs, and English is also a vecdec of vecdecs. And pushback is pushing to the end. And what are we pushing? We are pushing the line. You're going to split it by white space. So all of the white space in between the words, it takes it out. And so it just turns into individual words. And then this is, to keep things simple, I'm just using strings because it's not very labor intensive. And if you use strings, then you don't have to think about lifetimes. And so I map, so each one, turn it into a string and then collect it into a vecdec. And that gets pushed on. And then here comes content.initiate. So it looks like it's time to go back to look at this struct again and see what else it's made up of. So we've got English. So the next thing we want is current work. So this is the 10 or so words in, we have the German here and the English here that you saw being pushed up word by word. And so that's what that is. Ready to insert, this is the, so if you pick ich over here and var over there, then this is, that's what ready for insert is. And then you hit enter, and then it'll attach it to this here, content for file. So this is the one you can see content saved when pressing enter. So every time you press enter, it takes ready to insert and puts it on the end of content for file. And then I also made this thing here, data for undo. So every time I press enter, then it'll put the data in here, and that's just in case I need to undo. And I just put in one. I just set it up to allow one undo. I could have done more, but I kind of feel like if I need more than one undo, then maybe I don't deserve to keep using it, and I should just hit escape, which will save everything to the file, as you'll see in a second. Up here, so vecdec, of course, you need to bring it in. It's not always in scope, so brought that in. You can see here fs. This is this is for manipulating files. There's IO, and inside there is write, which is a trait, which gives you the ability to write to things like files. And then mem, that was like you might remember standard mem drop. That's to drop things. There's also take, which is to take the what's inside something and then leave the default. So if you have like a string that says hello, imagine this is a string, and then you take from it, then it'll take this away and it'll leave the default, which is an empty string. So that gets used a lot here. And then there's also this other, so the second external crate I use is ANSI term, which is it's like an ANSI terminal formatting, and that's what gives the colors. And this one is really easy. And cross term has colors too, but ANSI term does it really easily. You just you bring in a color, and you say, you know, if you want to paint it red, you say red.paint, and you put in your thing, and now it's red. So I like ANSI term for that. It's really really simple. So there's that, and then finally there's language, which is either English or German. So implementing it. So every time, so we have a loop set up in the main function, and every time it's going to print it out. Actually, let's go back to the main function first, just to follow the flow. So first, I bring in key code, which is an enum. Where is key code? And it's the simplest enum you can imagine. There it is. English, German, and there was some comparing going on, so I derived partial eq and debug to, I think I was printing it. I'm not sure if I'm still printing it. So let's see. Yeah, I brought that into scope, so I can just type English or German, bring in the file, set up this new content, and you can see it's all just it's got a whole bunch of nothing. New vecdeck, there's empty vex, so there's nothing in there yet. And the language, just set it to German for now. Then open this file that we're going to append to. This won't create the file, by the way. I just created the file separately and put nothing in there because I'm only going to use it for this, so don't have to worry about that. And then here, the part that I just showed where it fills it up with German content on the German side and English content on the English side. And then content.initiate. So let's see what initiate does. And this is pretty simple. So this is just going to, I'm going to bring this back in now. Window capture 2. There you are. So this this initiate, you can see, so it brings in a mute self, so it's going to change it. And what it'll do is the current work. So this is the part we're working on right. Let's see. Oh yeah, so it's bringing in the first set of words to work on. So you can see there's self.english, and that's where all the English content is. And so we need to bring in the first 10 or so words, the first line of English to work on, and then the first German line to work on. So it'll just bring in the first thing to work on, basically. After that, then we have this is where the cross term part comes in. So in cross term, there's this Q macro, and I'll show you what that looks like. Let's move that out of the way again. Cross term Q. So the way cross term is set up is it has this macro that lets you set up a bunch of commands, and it's there's a lot of things you can do with it. But you can see it starts out with standard out, and then it's going to queue all the things you want to do with it. And in this example here, you can move the cursor around, you can do a bunch of fancy terminal stuff. But what I do is here we go, just clear the screen. So there's this clear type all, and where did I get that? There we go. So you can see it has this clear type all. And let's just look at that. It's there you go. So all of the commands in here are, and you don't have to think about this. You can just copy the code over, but you can see clear. It's a struct, and then inside of that is an enum, and then it's you put in it'll choose one of them. So are you going to clear everything? Are you going to clear from the cursor down, and so on? So this clear type all just means clear everything. And then it has this at the end. You have to flush it. It says right here, move operation is performed only if we flush the buffer. So just copy that, and then it could fail. So there's a question mark there to return a result. And then the loop starts. So the first thing that it does is it displays the content, and that is just going to display the whole everything we saw here. There you go. So it's going to print all this out, and here's how it works. So first, it takes it makes a string for the English and the German. So this Schulen here on the left and schools on the right. So it'll take this ready to insert part, which is the word that we have at the top here. .0 is for German. Then iter clone it, so it turns from a string to a string. We can clone because this is a small program, and who cares about speed because it's already really fast. And then map and take each word and put a space on it because we don't want the words all mushed together. And then collect it, turn it into a string. So now we have a string called English and a string called German. And then down here, so if it's English, then we want the red on the left side, and if it's German, we want the red here to show us that we're working on German, and English, we want the red on the right side. So that's what this part is about. Let's see. So if it's German, it's going to do this, and this is the commands from the ANSI terminal. So cyan paint, then paint some red, then paint some cyan. And this command wants to see a reference. So and this repeat function or method here, it turns a stir into a string by repeating it however many times you want it to do it. So this will make 18 stars, and this will make 8 stars that are red, and so on. And then English, it'll be a little bit different. Then after that comes the some fancier formatting, and this is printing out the words that we just made the strings for. So Schulen and schools, and the reason why we're able to you can see it's always matching up. Like the left part is moving to the left. It's not like smushing the schools on the right over. So this part is moved. What's it called? Not the justification. Anyway, the lining up for the words is going to the left, unless it gets really long, and then you can see it starts pushing it over. But if not, it's going to behave and line up nicely, and that you can see is done with this. So this was the this is from the formatting chapter. You can so there's a whole bunch of syntax rules here. So this is saying like if you wanted to call this math, then you could give it its own name, but we're not giving it a name because we have English and German, and the first one's going to be German and the second one's English, so we don't need to give it a name. And then it's going to say push it to the right 17, and so it'll be squished on the right, and then when you add to it it's going to move to the left. And then this /t is a tab. And then after that, we have these are called interpunkts, so middle dots. And then after that, finally, is this just this string when there's nothing. You can see at the bottom there's just 3 dashes. And then we have some more fancy printing here. And so this is so for I in 0 to 10. So it's going to you can see there are 10 words here, and it's either going to give us a word or it's going to give us nothing. So we're just going to unwrap because it's safe, because if there's nothing there, we're going to print this. So that's what unwrap or is for, is to keep it safe and keep it from panicking when it unwraps. And so here we have, let's see, first we have a just one star here. So there's a little space here. Then just print 1 star and then smush it 60 or 25 spaces to the right. So that is this German part here, absitzen und studieren, going down. So it smushes it to the right, and then a tab to put some space between them and line them up nicely. And then and then 26 more spaces for the English part. And you can see it's being I forget the official word, but I'm going to keep on saying smushed to the left. And then finally there's a last star that gets smushed to the right. So that's where these final stars are. And then there's a final bottom of stars. So that is what happens next in main. Let's see, then what do we do? So yeah, it'll do that every time. It'll display it. Then we get to this. This is another cross-term function. So it has this thing called read, and this is a comment from their documentation. So read blocks until an event is available. So it's going to wait for you to do something. And so, you know, what kind of event is there? And the only event I care about is key events. And if you go down to here, you can see it's a really long match, but it's only one thing. I only care about key events, and for anything else, Rust is going to make sure that I'm checking for that. So I'm saying here, I don't care about mouse events. I don't care about screen resizing. Just do nothing if anything else happens. And then Rust will be satisfied with that. And then what happens if there's a key event? So let's go to key event. Event. So you can see cross-term has this, you know, all these events that can happen. So it has key, mouse, and resize, and these are the two that I said I don't care about. But if there's a key, there's going to be a key event. And what is that? It's a key code and modifiers, and that's like the key code is just the name of the key, and modifiers is like, did you push Alt or did you push Shift at the same time? And then so inside the key codes are all the kind of keys, up, down, function keys. Here you put in the number, character. So if you have a, you know, if somebody types A, then that would be char, and then put an A inside there. So I am. So if there's an event, we're going to match on the event, and what we're going to do is left. So if it's left, change it to German. That's easy enough. Right, change it to English. Up is content.up, and down is content.down. So let's look at those functions. What happens when you hit up? So if you hit up, it's going to do something if it's English and something else if it's German. So if it's English, so I'll bring this back in so we can see. Oh, it is in. I hope you've been able to see everything all this time. So if you hit up, you can see it adds a word, and if you hit down, then it pushes it down. So that's basically this up and down is adding to one area and popping off the other. Let's get that out of the way now. Let's see, up. So we're going to match match the language, and then what we're going to do is let's see. So this is the current work .0. So that's the current English words that we're working on. So if it's not empty, you see the exclamation mark there. So if we've got some words, then it's going to move one word up. So it's going to take self ready to insert. These are the words that I'm ready to insert by hitting enter, and it's going to push this word, the word at the top. And we know it's safe to unwrap because we already checked here if it's empty or not. And if it's not empty, obviously we can pop the front. So take the first word, pop it off, put it into ready to insert. And for German, we're going to do the same thing. And then for the next function down, it's the opposite. So if we have ready to insert, which is the words I'm ready to hit enter for. So if there's something in there, then I want to put it back onto this current work. So what I will do is push front, which is to put it right at the top there, or right at the front of the VecDeck. And we know that it's not empty, so it's safe to unwrap. So I'm going to pop off the end of ready to insert and put it on there. So that is how the up and down works. After that, I have this this Rust format skip, and this is just telling Rust format to leave this alone, because every time I type cargo format, like I'm a big fan of cargo format, but for here I didn't want it to keep on changing content.ready to insert.0 into separate lines. So this is just a little thing saying, hey, don't touch this or anything inside here. So yeah, what happens when we hit enter? This is the big, the most important part. So enter is when it takes the words that I've chosen and puts it onto the string. And the string is called, what's it called? Content for file. That's what it is. So so what it's going to do is first say, okay, what are you giving me? So it'll make a string from ready to insert, so the words that are ready to insert, iter over it, clone, so it's not a reference anymore, and then push a space on the end and turn it into a string. So just like the other function that turned it, gave us strings. So now we have a string called English and a string called German, and then what happens? So it tries to do that, and if they're both empty, so if the I could probably move this up later, but anyway, so if both of them are empty, which means we don't have any words selected, let's put this back in here. So that is like if Schulen is gone and schools are gone, and I hit enter, what's it going to do? What it does is it adds an empty line, and then moves it back up into place, and that's what this code is doing. So so if both of them are empty, then it's just going to push in a new line, and if it's not empty, then it's going to push everything onto this this string content for file, and here is the final the German word here, a bar in between, and an English word, and then a new line. So it's going to have, this will do the final, ish I kind of thing. It'll attach that, and then finally, yeah, almost finally, and then Then we also have this data for undo, and instead of just clearing this what is it? Instead of just clearing the German and the English string, I think it is. No, not that string. Anyway, so here's the data to undo, and what it does is it takes the ready to insert part. So this is the most recently selected words, and it takes it away. So that's what memtake does, standard memtake. So now the word will go into here, or the words, and then it'll also go into here. So we'll have a saved saved ready to insert data inside this data for undo, and later on when if you hit delete, that is what's going to reverse this. So anyway, it's ready. Every time you hit enter, it's going to do a little bit of saving here in case we need it. And then finally, it's going to move the top words up. So that's what this is. Just changes it to English, moves it up, changes it to German, moves it up. And then almost near the end now. And then delete. So delete is when you want to undo. And first of all, I did this check because you don't want to undo if let's see, if there's nothing to undo. Like if the data, if there's nothing in there, you don't want to even do anything. So first it'll check, is there any data inside data for undo? And if it does, or if there is any, then it's going to reverse everything. So it'll take the data and it'll put it back on the top. So we have our current work here. So our words that we're working on, it's going to push something on the front, and what it's going to give is the, let's see, push front, content ready to insert. What was this? Oh, it's going to push the, what was I doing here again? So the current work, that is what we're currently working on. Oh, and then that's right. So it should go to the front. That's right. So the word that we're currently working on, this should go back to current work. So because we're not. So in this example, you have like Schulen and schools. So Schulen should go down if you hit delete. Let's put some stuff in. Let's say Schulen, schools, Absitzen, and let's okay. So let's put in und and then change our mind. And so I hit delete there. So let's do it again. So und and so I hit enter. So that's it saves it, but then it's ready to be undone when I hit delete. And so it takes this, you can see studieren and study, it pushes it down here. So that's what it does first. And also it brings back und and. So it brings back these two words. And so after it pushes it to the top, we have an unwrap, or just in case, might not even need this, but anyway. And then we take the data, which is the saved data, and we do a take again, and now data is going to have nothing, and this will have nothing. So there's only one time you can use delete, and then after that, it's going to do nothing. So if we keep on hitting delete, you can see it's not doing anything. But if I hit enter and then delete, it'll do it. So there's only one undo, and that's it. And there's we could easily have this whole vec of stuff that we did, and we could do undo for 10 or 20 times, but this is only for me, so I just want one. And then finally, escape. So escape is when I'm done putting some words in. So then it'll just write it to the file. So it'll say, let's see, for line in content for file. So this is the big string that has all the stuff that we're attaching to, and then this write function, and this is just a regular write function that you have in the standard library, and just change it to bytes because files take bytes, and then a question mark because it is a result, and then it'll break, and then when it breaks, it'll finally break the loop. And then at the end of everything, every part of the loop here, this is where we clear the screen, standard out flush to make this command actually happen. And then finally, there's this thing called content, try next line, and I think that's the last function to look at here, or the last method, try next line. And this one is when we have so you can see we're getting closer and closer to the end of this this current work, and every time it's going to see if this is empty or not, and if it's empty, it's going to bring in the next line, and that's what this this function does. So once we hit enter once more, you can see it pulls it all in. So it keeps it flowing. So you hit enter, 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 and even if you pull in the next line, you can still hit delete, and it has no problem with that. And here's the way this works. So first of all, so yeah, every time you go through the loop, it's going to try to get rid of the first index, because there's going to be an empty vecdeck now in the total work. So it's going to first look at this and say, are you empty? Is 0 empty, and is 1 empty? So is the German empty, and is the English empty? And if they're both empty, it pops them off and they're gone. And if it does that, then it's going to bring in the next one and say, okay, then so self.currentWork.0. So this is bringing in the next one. This is empty now because of this, and it'll take the English, which is all of the English content, pop the front, so it brings in a new vecdeck and unwrap. I don't even need to have an or here, basically, because it would only panic if the whole book is done. I can keep unwrapping, but just for the sake of fun, I said bring in a new vecdeck with nothing in it in case it panics, which it won't. And then finally, if what was this again? That comment doesn't need to be there anymore. And then finally, all right, and then the ready to insert. So if there's nothing ready to insert, so you can see on the top here we have gar and we have entirely. But if there's nothing there, then it's going to bring the first word to the top. And this is for convenience, because a lot of the time the words totally match up, like das man by. So each word is matching up here. And so when it brings in a new bunch of work, then it should also move it to the top, and then I can just keep on hitting enter. So that is what we're doing here, I think. So ready to insert, that's the words that we're picking right now. .0, that's English. And then push in the current work .0. So push in the, or pop off the first word and bring it to the top, basically. So I think that's it, and you can see that this is only useful to me, but it's also useful for showing some code, because we went through the easy Rust book, but then after that, you know, what kind of things can you make with the knowledge that you know, and there's also a little bit of exploration into some really small crates. These are. One other reason that I like these is because they compile quickly. Like ANSI term, I think, has six items to compile. Cross term has 12 or something, and together they make up 17. And when you're compiling other things like GUIs, graphical user interfaces, sometimes you can get up to like 100 plus, easily 200 or more. And it takes a while to compile, but keeping it with these small external crates means that it compiles really fast. So let's just make sure that I went over everything. So here's the struct. That was easy. Display, we looked at that. Up, down, initiate, try next line. And main, yeah, we went over that. And then, of course, there's an OK at the end because it returns a result. And total of 278 lines. Just a really, really simple thing. And wow, this video was 55 minutes long. That was twice as long as I thought. But I'll put it up and also put the code up on GitHub. And then you probably have a lot of good ideas on how to make it better, even though I only need it for this Demian book. And there's one more called Kinderseele by Hermann Hesse again. And I have those two books that I would like to automate. And so this will take a bit less time for me to turn them into a format that can properly turn into a resizable sort of format for e-readers and stuff like that. So anyway, I hope you had fun looking at this first piece of code, and I'll see you later.